Right, today we are taking a look at the original Canon R5 and whether this is still worth looking at as an option for a new camera in 2025 and going into 2026. Now the R5 came out back in 2020, so it's 5 years old now, but in a lot of ways was absolutely a game changer when it came out. So now, with newer models on the market, including the R5 II, is it still holding up? Well, that's what we're going to be diving into today. Now, the R5 launched as Canon's high-end hybrid shooter, great for photo and video. It has a 45 megapixel full-frame sensor, great autofocus, as well as 8K video, so it definitely excels for both professional photographers as well as serious videographers. So what makes the R5 still shine in 2025? Well, that 45 megapixel sensor is able to deliver some incredibly detailed stills with lots of room for cropping, which is very, very useful for all kinds of different genres of photography. Importantly as well, the R5 deals with low light really well, so you can bump that ISO up without worrying too much about dealing with excessively noisy images. Now that area has only gotten better with newer models, and actually cameras like the R6 III with a slightly lower resolution handle low light even better, but the R5 is still great for that kind of shooting, and again, it just makes it super versatile for being able to capture all kinds of different stuff. It has Canon's dual pixel CMOS AF2, so the autofocus is still super quick and very reliable as well, with all the features that you would hope for, like eye detection, subject tracking, and it's able to keep up really well with fast moving subjects. Now again, this has obviously been further improved in newer models, but shooting with the R5 now, the autofocus definitely feels super modern, and it's very, very useful as a tool. It also has some great image stabilization in the camera as well, up to 8 stops, and it's definitely something that stands out on this camera. Now, of course, as a hybrid camera, it's not just about the stills. This is absolutely a video camera as well. In that regard, it stands up as an absolute video powerhouse. So you can shoot 8K RAW internally, as well as 4K up to 120 frames a second in 10-bit. And for creators who want high quality cinematic footage, it is fantastic for that. But with all that said, let's talk about some of the downsides of the R5 as well, because of course, it's not the perfect camera, and it might be that it's not the camera for you. So the first one, and the thing that I think was such a big deal at launch, is the potential for overheating. Now, I've used the R5 a lot since 2020, and I've never actually had this problem happen to me, but it certainly has been widely reported, especially when you're shooting with the more demanding video modes like 8K or even possibly 4K 120. Essentially, the camera would overheat reasonably quickly, which would make it difficult to be able to shoot video for long periods of time in a high quality setting, which of course means that video shoots become problematic. Now, there have been firmware updates since launch that help with this by raising temperature thresholds, but if you know you're going to be shooting high resolution video for long periods of time, this is certainly something you'll want to think about with the original R5. Battery life is also maybe not the best out there. This is not actually an overly difficult issue to sort, and it's not like it's horrific, but you'll probably want to have a spare battery or two on a shoot. Something else to consider is the file size of things like the high resolution, high bitrate video. And this is something that I have personally come up against myself. File sizes can get very, very big with this camera, and cards fill up fast. Now, the R5 takes a CF Express card and an SD card, but you'll absolutely need the CF Express card for the higher quality video, and these cards are not particularly cheap. So again, that's definitely something to consider if you are going to be using this for a lot of video shooting. To be honest with you though, these drawbacks are pretty limited, and for the most part, fairly easy to overcome. It's still an absolute powerhouse of a camera for stills and for video, and super flexible for what you can shoot. The RF lens ecosystem is also a lot bigger than it was back in 2020, with a huge amount of choice for some lovely glass to go with this camera. Now, I mentioned firmware updates earlier, but we actually have seen a few of these with the R5 that have helped in various different areas. Of course, we mentioned heat management before, but we've also seen features added like a high resolution photo mode that allows you to capture 400 megapixel images, something which is not, I imagine, something you'll be doing that often, but when you need something with incredible resolution, that's a very useful feature to have added into the camera. Now let's talk a little bit about value, because that's a big consideration with any camera, but certainly when you're looking at a camera that is 5 years old like this. Now, of course, when this came out, this was Canon's flagship hybrid camera, and for good reason, but that came with a flagship price tag. Now, that was 5 years ago, and the price is definitely a lot more accessible now, and that's something that is seriously important when it comes to considering whether this camera is right for you now, especially if you're looking at a used model, which just gives you even more value for your money. So is the R5 still worth it in 2025? Well, I think the answer is absolutely yes. This still feels incredibly modern, and I mean, the R5 absolutely stands up still as a top-tier hybrid camera, perfect for professional photographers and for hybrid shooters. And if you're looking for high resolution, great performance, flexibility, strong autofocus, and those top-tier video specs, it's an absolute workhorse and will help you capture all kinds of different things. And especially if you're looking at this as a used model, you are getting so much value here. It still feels very much like a flagship model in terms of its kind of capability. It is absolutely impossible not to recommend, and the kind of price you can get it for now just makes this such an easy camera to really become your go-to photography or video tool. Now, of course, there are other options. There's the R5 II, which has loads of improvements over the R5, the R6 II, which offers a low resolution, but still some great hybrid performance as well. But the original R5 definitely still holds up as a seriously capable camera. But I'd love to know what you think. Have you used the R5? Does it still do the job for you? Are you put off by some of those slight limitations that we discussed as well? Or have you maybe upgraded to something else already? Let us know in the comments, because I think that's always super interesting. Also, let us know if there's another camera that you think we should revisit and see how it holds up now and going into the future. Of course, you can check out our huge used range here at Park Cameras of different cameras and lenses. So whether it's something like the R5 or really anything else at all, you can see all of those at parkcameras.com. I'll pop a link in the description, so it's super easy to go and find that. And of course, if you like the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more, because there's always new content on the way. Until next time, thanks for watching.